So today I'm going to be reciting a piece that I wrote, and it's called Umbilical Cord. I told you it was never my intention to leave my birthplace, but you did not hear me. So instead I asked you to teach me. Not comfort me, not give me the same rhetoric, not solidify my facade of safety, not uplift the parts of myself which already have my ego in the clouds, but you did not hear me. So I thought I could frighten the language out of your mouth. And so I shot compassion into your heart, and I watched it clog your arteries. And I took my scalpel and I examined with it the affection I'd been feeding you, coursing through your veins unused. Postmortem was the only time I heard sound escape you, but it didn't come from your lips, but rather the ones of those you affected. I listened close to try and hear the wailing of perhaps your mother, your father, but the sounds were indistinguishable, and they all sounded like my own cry. I told you it was never my intention to leave my birthplace, but you did not hear me. It takes 4 hours for rigor mortis to set in, but it only took a second for you to unravel my heart, unthread my capillaries, and peel apart every fiber in my brain that you'd been using to cushion me from reality. And it only took a second for me to pull the trigger. It only took me a lifetime to unlearn the fantasy world you'd given me, to unmemorize the walls of the dollhouse I'd been living in. I didn't mean to kill you. I didn't mean to kill you. But it was out of my own mercy. The same mercy which you said, which you taught me, was the reason you kept me sheltered. But you did not hear me. I told you it was never my intention to leave my birthplace. But would you stay, I told you, would you stay in a world revolved around yourself if you'd accidentally shattered a window one day and saw a life that didn't revolve around the sun but around the stars? I was born into a life that begun with my first name and ended with my last, the letters of which were the only things that stood out to me in the alphabet. And some might write it off as human nature, but there's nothing natural about never learning to walk because you never saw anyone who could. And it might sound crazy to say you could fly, but I never learned to walk until I saw someone who knew how. And how do we know what human flight looks like? They say it's arrogance to pretend you're absorbed in others above yourself, to pretend you're selfless. But I told you it's not selflessness, the greed in my eyes, when I learned there was a world out there with people who had better souls than mine, but you did not hear me. So I left my birthplace and found someone who listened. And his name was not my own, and his name was not my ego, and his name taught me the world isn't outside of your body, but just a scale model of what's within. And blinding yourself with the light of ignorance leaves you homeless even in your own skin. The world is not your canvas or your stepping stool. You can't use it to show others how great you are, how much talent you have, or your kindness. But the world can give you these things if you listen. But you did not hear me. Thank you.